Hi. Hi. If you're new here, hi, my name's Amanda. I'm a coach and I'm a channel. And this is our Wednesday night live Messages from Spirit episode. Every single Wednesday, I've been coming live on YouTube to first channel a message from Spirit. And then, second, take your questions and answer them. Answer them from Spirit, channeling messages for you, or answering them from my personal experience as a coach, and simply offering you an opportunity to be held inside of a safe container where you can feel supported and receive whatever wisdom or guidance has been trying to find you. I set the intention for these episodes to find those who have been asking for it, have been asking for guidance, for wisdom, for perspective, for a sign, have been struggling with something in their life that they're needing clarity around or looking for some sort of answer in terms of which direction to take or which choice to make. And if you're feeling called to watch this video, if something about this appeared on your timeline or your news feed and you're like, I wonder what this is. I want to click on it and check it out. That's a sign that there's something in here for you. So I recommend sticking around and seeing what that might be and hopefully leaving this experience with a little bit more clarity. And if this feels aligned for you and you resonate with my energy and with the energy of the messages, feel free to subscribe to this channel. I go live twice a week, and there's so much opportunity for you to receive support. Just hopping in the chat and asking and allowing spirit to guide you, or you're welcome, if you're unable to join live, to comment below and I can get back to your question in the next live. So the way this works is I close my eyes and I tune into spirit and I allow them to share whatever it is that they're feeling called to share today. And the message tends to start with an image of some kind. I find that that's how they anchor it in for me as a channel. And the image represents a metaphor or some sort of idea or perspective or outlook that they want to share with you and sort of build on the metaphor of this message, allowing the full extent of whatever it is that they want to share to unfold and unravel as we go. And it tends to build on itself slowly and gradually. So I encourage you to stick around if you're feeling the nudge to. So I just want to see, is there anything that you want to say before I get started? Yeah, they're just saying this is an experience for for you to be challenged a little bit today. That's the impression I'm getting, is for you to be challenged a little bit. You're here because you're wanting perspective. And sometimes perspective invites in new awareness or challenging current ideas and thoughts and beliefs. And that can oftentimes come along with a little bit of discomfort because inside of the questions that we have oftentimes lie a limitation that we're holding on to that we don't realize is there. And oftentimes, spirit likes to point this out, not to make you uncomfortable, but to open your mind to how you're holding yourself back, where you're playing small, where you're not sitting in your full power. And if the message feels uncomfortable to receive, if you're noticing, ooh, that feels really personal, or oh yeah, I didn't realize that that was going on for me, that's just a sign that there's a little bit of truth there, and also that there's a part of you that is feeling uncomfortable or triggered by or judgmental of or ashamed of that truth. And they just want you to know that that is not their intention. Their intention is never to make you uncomfortable. Well, their intention is to open up your mind to the discomfort that's already there. They're not trying to shame you or judge you. These messages are always coming from the most loving, authentic, and truthful place. But if they're evoking discomfort, it's because you've been feeling that. And maybe feeling that without realizing how much of that you were taking on. And then they want to guide you through that realization to a place of understanding and curiosity and compassion instead. And when we can hold these truths with more compassion rather than judgment, it becomes easier to move forward because we can step out of this shame place and into a place of action from this place of emboldened, empowered forward momentum. So I'm just coming to the chat. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Melissa in New Zealand. Wow, New Zealand is on like the top of my bucket list of places to visit. So nice to have you here. I lost my dear friend Travis suddenly on July 19th last year. Does he have a message for me, please? I'm so sorry, Melissa. I'm so sorry for your loss. I've lost a friend of mine too, and I can't say I know what you're going through, but I've been in a similar situation. So I'm so sorry, and I'm sending you so much love. I'm gonna check in with spirit on that. I'm just gonna see if there's something that they want to share first. And I promise I'm gonna get to you. I won't forget. And you're welcome to hop back on live or watch the replay if you're no longer here with me live inside of this experience. But I promise I'm gonna get to your question and I'm gonna channel something for you. And they're saying it'll be worth the wait, but they're saying that there's more inside of this experience for you than you might realize, and they want to share something for you first that that might that might give you that might give you more than you anticipate is what they're saying. So just hang in there, take a deep breath, and receive everything available inside of this message for you today, because there's going to be a lot here, they're saying. Okay, where would you like to go from here? Hmm. Okay, they're saying that they want to first highlight that this is a time of discomfort, of massive discomfort for a lot of us, whether or not we are personally moving through a grievance of some sort where we've lost a friend or family member or a loved one. We are all feeling loss in some capacity. We are experiencing the loss of many different things, of personal power, of a sense of autonomy, of like proper guidance or sense of like compassionate leadership. And the world over, we are grieving a loss of self, a loss of direction, a loss of compassion, a loss of support. And they want to highlight that that is present, that without necessarily recognizing how heavily we are carrying that, we are feeling the effect of that and is weighing on us more than we realize. And they want to open up the floor for a new level of insight that this state of being is desiring to bear witness to. There is this heaviness that we are trying desperately to get rid of. Nobody wants to feel the weight of a loss, of feeling unseen, unheard, and uncared for, and alone. And they want you to know that that is so understandable, and to please bear in mind that they recognize that that is not something that they are asking us to discard. They want us to feel however it is that we are desiring to feel. And if the current state of reality, whatever reality it is that you are experiencing or living inside of, is creating those feelings for you, those feelings are valid, and they want you to keep that in mind. However, they also want to highlight this series of options that we have available for us that are further cementing the heaviness that we are carrying, and that there are a series of different possibilities of how we are perceiving our reality. And those different options are going to highlight where we are choosing how we're experiencing ourselves and the feelings that we're experiencing, and how much possibility there is for peace and freedom and light and love to be experienced instead. And this desire to shy away from those choices because it feels wrong to want them, and it feels almost impossible to choose them. Interesting. Where are you going from here? They're saying reality is created inside of the individual's desire to have a specific experience. And the experience that you are perceiving is available to you is the experience that you are choosing. And it is this experience that you are fulfilling out of a need to support that. And that ultimately comes down to a lack of awareness around just how much freedom you really have to choose this. That we are taught to perceive a certain number of choices. And we are taught this through our upbringing, through observation, through awareness, through analysis, through perception, and through the observation, direct observation of those who taught us how to see life and how to show up inside of this life, inside of how they've been choosing to show up inside of life. And we don't even realize that we box ourselves in to certain outlooks. But those outlooks become apparent once you take a step back and ask yourself, what am I experiencing? And how can I be available? How can I make amends with my need to have this experience and ultimately like do away with the same reality or world that I was taught to believe in? And being able to see that there is a different world to experience from the world that you were taught to believe in is a very valuable thing, and also a very terrifying one, because it requires doing away with like a part of your childhood, a part of your upbringing, and like disassociating with potentially members of your circle who are not yet ready to exist inside of the world that you are perceiving is there, that you are choosing for you. And so, really, what they want to highlight here is how to choose a different reality and how to be okay with perceiving the reality that we are leaving behind and all of those who are still existing inside of it. And almost like straddling two worlds where we are stepping into a new one and embracing a new one while exiting and saying goodbye to an old one and everybody that we know and love that is still living there. And it can feel powerful to do that, and it can feel lonely to do that. And they really want to highlight the loneliness inside of that choice because it is the loneliness that is almost anchoring you to where you're currently existing. The loneliness of feeling like nobody is going to join you, nobody is willing to come along with you into a new world, and almost giving up the freedom to make that choice because you would prefer to be surrounded by love and this new existence that is opening up for you that you might be perceiving is available to you or calling for you to step into. You don't know anybody there. You're not familiar with it. There's no support system there. There's no like loving, warm embrace there. There's no familiarity there. There's no history there. And it's up to you to choose that and be okay with that and be okay with the newness that comes along with that and having to prepare for feeling separation because there's going to be one and you're going to witness it, and those who are not yet ready to join you will feel it and may perceive a distance there or feel a distance there that they won't really understand how to put into words. And it's going to be about learning how to step into a new world, a new way of being, a new existence, a new reality, being there for you, and at the same time holding the door open for anyone that desires to join you. And being the one to extend that loving support, knowing that they may not desire to choose it, and they may not want to, and they may hold back and linger behind and kind of add to the distance that you're going to feel there. Okay, where do you want to go from here? Do you want to take them on in a very small experience? Something that I want to invite you into right now is an experience of what they're wanting to explain. I'm noticing that inside of the messages that I'm channeling, there is more, so much more. Spirit has been wanting you to experience the message for yourself rather than just hear it. It's one thing to hear something nice and loving. It's another thing to invite yourself into an experience of it so that you can literally feel it, because it's you can't fully understand an experience until you've lived it. Understanding something consciously is not the same as experiencing it physically. And so they want to invite you into a very small experience with them right now so that they can show you what they're talking about. And you can experience it from your own vantage point and have a much better understanding of the full extent of the message that they're trying to share today. And so they just want you to close your eyes and reflect on the areas of your life where you have been feeling a sense of separation. Just take a deep breath, close your eyes, and ask yourself, where in my life do I feel alone? Where in my life do I feel like an uncomfortable need to distance myself from other people? And how have I been allowing for that experience? Like, what am I trying to accomplish inside of that choice? Why would I be creating that separation. If I'm feeling alone, if I'm feeling uncomfortable, why would I choose to further distance myself inside of this situation? If I'm if I'm consciously aware that I'm feeling alone, why would I actively choose more loneliness when connection is available? And they just want you to get really honest with yourself inside of this scenario around how you are further creating the divide that you're feeling is already there. And they want to highlight that there's probably a very valid reason for what you are choosing. You are choosing to feel the loneliness that's there because maybe when you have extended a hand and asked for support, you didn't receive it, or you didn't feel seen or heard, or you don't really know how to ask. And it feels safer or easier to keep your distance. Or maybe there's a part of you that doesn't feel a connection to that person or the people in that situation. And so even though you feel separation, you don't want to extend a hand, you don't want to reach out because there's a discomfort that's there and you're not really sure if you're going to feel any better anyway. And so you are choosing the loneliness that you're feeling knowingly, consciously, with awareness. There is a desire to have this experience over and over and over again, despite knowing that there's an option for a different one. It's serving a purpose for you. It's something that you are desiring and wanting. Otherwise, you would choose differently. And although you might really, really want to feel differently, it it's not the driver. It's not the main motivation here. There's a deeper desire that is keeping you separate and that you are continuing to foster and encourage. And they're saying this very situation is taking place in every single area of your life. You are, without realizing it, or sometimes very consciously, choosing the experience that you're having, knowingly creating that experience because making a different choice comes with sacrifice. A sacrifice that you maybe aren't even realizing that you're really feeling, but when you take a step back and look at it, it's there. And it feels better to choose what you've already chosen over and over and over again. And it's only once you recognize that making a different choice offers something that you're desiring enough to choose it, then you make a different choice. Then you're ready for something new. And so ultimately, what they want to highlight today is how to perceive options and opportunities that are desiring enough to choose them. Otherwise, nothing is ever going to change. So, if you're moving through life and you're feeling distance, if you're feeling loneliness, if you're feeling separation, what are all of the ways that you can bridge that gap, and how and where are you not choosing to? Because in choosing to, you're perceiving some sort of discomfort. And how can you either come to terms with that or rectify that? And what do you mean by rectify that? What do you mean by rectifying that? Uncovering the benefit of making a different choice. Even if there's discomfort there, if you can perceive a benefit inside of choosing it, you're more likely to. And then there's opportunity to shift your reality. Okay. What else would you like to say about this? And they want to extend this now into global matters. We are perceiving a lot of distance, a lot of self sacrifice, a lot of delusion, a lot of resistance, a lot of friction. And that is something that we are creating without realizing it because we are choosing those experiences and we are witnessing the combative nature, the challenging nature of where that is taking place and playing out. And if we are, what are you trying to say? If we are what? Needing an experience that is one of more connection, of more genuine friendship, of more compassion, of more support system, of feeling more community and connection and joy and rejoicing. It's up to us to see the avenues and the potentials in order to have that experience. And we have to be the ones to seek it out. We have to be the ones to lay all of our choices out on the table objectively and say, where are we not choosing the very thing we're saying we want? And what do we fear inside of making that choice? And how can we begin to rectify those fears and perceive value in choosing it rather than just the downside? And that is how we're going to shift the tide inside of our own lives that is going to create a ripple effect globally and eventually collectively. But we have to begin to choose the very thing that we say that we want. And that starts with you, where you are not doing that yet and how you can begin to do it instead. Wow. Okay. Anything else you'd like to say about this? They're just saying rise to the challenge. And again, ultimately, you don't have to. And there is no shame in continuing to show up as you have been. They want to reiterate that. They are not shaming you and they are not judging you for the choices that you make. They are simply highlighting where you are making those choices and why, and the options that are available for you that you are not perceiving based on your own limited viewpoint of the world that you were born to believe in and live out, that you are still continuing to do so. If a new world is something that you want, then it's up to you to step into it, regardless of who's going to join you there and regardless of what you're going to find on the other side of it. But it's up to you to take that step and create that reality and bear in mind that you're going to have to see things differently in order to do that. Wow. Okay. Any last words you'd like to say about that? Yeah, they're saying feel the discomfort inside of what they're pointing out. It's really valuable. It's really valuable. Being uncomfortable is really important to take note of. When we deny the discomfort that's here, then we continue to deny an entire aspect of who we are and what's calling to us. Discomfort is a sign of where you're desiring to move. And we tend to believe that we're supposed to get rid of the discomfort, but the discomfort is not the issue. It's our judgment of the discomfort. That's the pain point. The discomfort is just the part of you that's ready for change, but it's your judgment or shame of whatever you're believing that discomfort to mean about you that is creating the discomfort itself. And they want to just begin to shed that so that you can see it for what it truly is, which is just choices, opportunities, and then outcomes. Really beautiful message. So I'm just going to come to the chat. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Amanda. I'm willing to come along with you. I'm so glad to have you here. And I know that we're going to be walking side by side, regardless of whatever world it is that we are stepping into. So, I feel you there alongside me always, always. I love that. You're so precious. So, Melissa, I'm going to come back to you right now. I don't know if you're still with us or not, but I'm going to answer your message. So, hi from Melissa in New Zealand. I lost my dear friend Travis suddenly on July 19th last year. Again, I'm so sorry. Does he have a message for me, please? What would you like to say to Melissa? Oh, okay. He's saying, I never left. I'm still here. And you feel me. You feel me here all the time. Here. He's saying, every time you feel this, you're feeling me. You're experiencing me in a different way, but I haven't gone away. I have simply transferred how you are experiencing my energy. And and tying back into this message, it's up to you to choose how you are experiencing that. Are you experiencing it from a place of loss, of frustration, of anger, of distrust, of need? Or are you experiencing it from a place of openness, even though reluctant? They're saying openness, what? Reluctance to a reluctance to engage with this new world energy. Wow, what are you trying to say here? They're saying he's inviting you into a new world energy to join him inside of a place of unconditional love and acceptance and forgiveness and release of what has been holding you back, holding you hostage. But in order to step into this new world with him, you have to be willing to let go of what's been keeping you here. And the choice is yours. Where you're experiencing him, how you're experiencing him is up to you, but he is just highlighting what choice you're making and the choices that are available for you instead. That is a powerful message. Wow. Is there anything else here that you'd like to say about that? They're just highlighting that there's a lot of discomfort inside of what you're being offered, and a reluctance to open to that. And there is beauty inside of that too, if you're willing to see it that way. There is no rush. There is no judgment or shame. There is no supposed to. There is just you and what you need and what feels right for you, and to move with conviction, trusting in the path that's guiding you. Yeah, well, that's a really beautiful message. So, Melissa, I don't know if you're still here. I'm open to receiving your thoughts on that. And I hope that this opened something up for you today. Sending you lots of love. So I'm just going to open this to the floor. If there's anybody here that would like to have a conversation or a back and forth with me, now is your opportunity. If there's something on your heart that you're wanting to share, or if there's something that you would like to talk through, if you would like guidance and support around anything at all, I'm here. Spirit is here. If you would like um, guidance around something specific that you're trying to call forward or to call in, it's up to you to choose the support that's available for you, is what they're saying. And if this is just a day of a message, then we can keep it short and sweet. It is whatever it's whatever you guys need today. Is there anything else you want to add? No, they're waiting. Sometimes I will ask them a question and they're just silent. And I'm like, hello, is there anyone there? And they're like, just give it a second, like relax. Okay. Hi, Stacy. I've found a 12-month initiation journey for 13 to 15-year-old boys and their dads. I'd like to send my son to. Any message about that? Wow, I have found a 12-month initiation journey for 13 to 15-year-old boys and their dads. I'd like to send my son to with Indigenous elders. It sounds amazing. That does sound amazing. What is an initiation journey? Like a personal development type of a program? That sounds like a something like that's very beautiful. Yeah, wow. What would you like Stacy to know about that? They're just saying trust the wisdom that's guiding you. Um, what do you want to say about that? There's something else here. They're just saying feel into what it is that your son is asking for, searching for, needing most, and allow him to dictate the course of action. Um, because he's going to share some wisdom with you that perhaps will enlighten you or bring something new to the table that maybe you didn't anticipate or think of. And inviting him into the idea of this conversation around this and the opportunity for this, I think is going to build self-esteem and his ability to um, create autonomy inside of his journey. And that is part of it's part of what he's asking for or seeking. Let me know your thoughts on that. Um, it seems like he has ideas of his own, that there's stuff that he's been contemplating and thinking that maybe he hasn't fully shared with you or opened up about. But if you probe, like if you invite him into a conversation, he he will share it, and I think that you're going to be kind of amazed. Let me know your thoughts on that. Um, yeah, Stacy. They learn bush skills and hike every month, something else. He feels very rejected by the masculine. I think it would be great. What do you want to say about that? Yeah, leadership is something that he's craving. Um, Giving him an opportunity to share what's been on his mind is is going to encourage that. Um, is there something specifically about what she's asking though? They're just sort of opening your mind to just the fact that he has ideas in his mind and there's stuff that he wants to share, and he oftentimes doesn't know how to just express it. He's sort of holding back and waiting for an opportunity to be invited into that conversation. And I think if you like just like casually just ask him, um, where do you see, what is it that you love to do? Or is there something on your mind that you've been wanting to pursue or that you've been thinking about doing or that you would like to share with me? Um, he will get excited and he will begin to open up about something specific or a few specific things. And that's going to encourage him to speak up. But there's like a part of him that's like waiting for the invitation, and offering that invitation is going to be helpful and beneficial. And then in terms of your specific question, um, what do you want to say in terms of her specific question? They're just saying start with what they're saying and go from there. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'll definitely ask him. Okay, I'll make space for him to share his feelings and ideas. Thanks, that helps. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna come of that, but that was the answer that they're giving, and they're like, "Just she'll understand, just let it unfold gradually, and, like, she'll figure it out, and she'll the answer is going to just make itself fully available to her." But, yeah, giving him an opportunity to sort of guide his way is something that he has been wanting to feel in charge. Really interesting. Yeah. Yeah, what a beautiful idea. I wish there was something like that available when I grew up, but there was not that I know of. There was nothing, no program like that where I lived, but I feel like I would have really connected to an indigenous um experience, or like learning about their culture and their traditions and their outlook and way of life. It's something that I always really resonated with. They're so in touch with nature and animals and the earth, and they like to tell stories. I feel like I would have got drawn in to that and would have really fit in with that, and I was not exposed to any of that. So, yeah, that's one thing that, I feel connected to that way of life. Same, I've cried about it so many times. Our self-initiations of getting drunk were terrible. Yeah, I don't know how old you are, Stacy, but, like, as a millennial, yeah, that's all we did, and, like, 45, okay, so a few years older than me. I just turned 39, so we're both elder millennials is what I guess geriatric millennials is the lovely name for what we are. Um, but yeah, that was, like, what we did growing up, and to be, like, 100% truthful, I wasn't a big drinker. I I used to go dancing with my girlfriends, and I would just go sober because I loved to dance. I grew up as a competitive dancer, and so dancing was it was where I felt comfortable, it's where I felt alive, and so I didn't need alcohol, and I actually feared it a little bit. I didn't have a full awareness of this at the time, but there's something about substances that I feared. I feared not being in control, and that's a whole other can of worms that I don't need to get into. I can touch on that another time. But yeah, I feel like for me, the dance provided a lot of that, like learning discipline, learning consistency, learning how to get out of my head and into my body, like teamwork, um, building like structure and habits and a healthy lifestyle. So dance was sort of like my doorway into that. And as challenging as it was to be inside of the competitive dance world, it did give me so many lifelong positive habits and like mental and emotional um, ways of like holding space for myself that were really beneficial where I could see growing up that the people that I grew up with that didn't have those outlets or didn't have those like character building activities when they were younger were missing that and relied more heavily on drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, and their social life to provide it. So looking back, it's always really fascinating to kind of get curious with that kind of thing. But I feel like the young kids nowadays aren't drinking as much as we did. Like I think that that was like very much an our generation thing and perhaps the Gen Xers. I feel like the boomers were more like drugs. I could be wrong, but I know the 60s was like a sex, drugs, and rock and roll time. But I feel like the Gen Zers are just kind of like not into it. Stacy, that sounds great. I did the opposite. My path would have been so different if we had these sort of initiations in nature, but what was done to the indigenous peoples were terrible. 100%. 100%. And as a Canadian, we learned about indigenous cultures, but we didn't learn the truth of what they went through. They really hid that from us. Um, and then, like, as an adult, as you're really learning a lot more about the history of your own country, it's like, what is, why is this being kept a secret? Like, obviously, there's shame there, but we have to have the truth of what happened so that we can learn from it. So, yeah, yeah, I'm totally on the same page. I feel like also like if it's not something your parents were into, then they didn't extend it to you as a child. Like my parents were just not, they're not in touch with nature, not in touch with with their own sense of self in the way that I am. So they're not going to impart that on me. They're going to impart whatever is required to do what they felt was needed. So making money, building like skills that you can implement in the workplace, stuff like that. But my parents were really good about putting me into extracurricular activities. They were really good about that. My mom was really good about that. But getting in touch with nature was not one of them. The closest I got was skiing, learning how to ski, but it wasn't to get in touch with nature, it was to learn the sport of skiing. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else on your mind, Stacey? I'm going to give you, since it's just the two of us, I'm going to give you an opportunity to have the floor. If there's anything else that you're needing or wanting today, if there's any way that I can support you, or if you have any personal questions for me, I'd be happy to talk about myself a little bit. And I'm just going to start to close this down and see if there's anything else that's on your mind. They're just saying, oh wow, they're just saying that this calling to be closer to nature, to feel a connection to nature is coming from a, a feeling of wanting to be connected to yourself. And when you have this drive for connection within you, it extends to everything outside of you too. And not everybody has that. This is very interesting because I didn't see things this way. They're saying, no, not everybody has that. Not everybody has this drive or desire to feel a deeper sense of connection to who they are. And therefore, they're not going to go seeking it out outside of themselves either until they're ready to, like until they're feeling that call to. And that is why not everybody is so like immersed inside of the natural world. They just don't have that curiosity. They are too busy feeling um, void. What do you mean by that void? They're too busy feeling what? Separation, disconnection, like a shattering, isolation, and a need to rectify that in a different way. So they're perceiving those feelings differently, and they're trying to go about putting those pieces together in a way that allows them to feel more whole and to feel more connected, but through a different lens, a different paradigm. And that is just the choice that they're making through the observations that they are having and the pathways that they are perceiving based on how they've been raised and what they've been taught to believe. And even though not all of us are brought up the same way and have those same teachings imparted onto us, we still perceive things differently. And that is what leads us into a different direction. And those of us that kind of take a different path from those who raised us is simply because we are feeling a disassociation between what we are perceiving and what we are feeling. And we go searching for an alternative means or mode of rectifying that. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, like if your parents are just not into that kind of thing, but you are, it's because you are something inside of how they're showing up is just not resonating for you or is not rectifying that disconnect that you're feeling. And so you go looking for something different and you find it inside of different things that they never thought out or sought out because they didn't desire to, they didn't choose to, and they didn't need to. Yeah. Okay. Any final words you would like to share? The takeaway message from this experience today is to sit inside of what you are feeling, what you are wanting and needing, and asking yourself, what am I choosing? And coming to terms with that choice and being ready to feel the drive and desire for a different one, a new choice, and understanding that the discomfort inside of the experience that you're having will linger as long as you are holding on to the need for it. It is not the choice necessarily that's creating the discomfort. It is oh, your need to feel to feel what's creating the discomfort. What is creating the discomfort? Dis- Discipline? Okay. Yeah, you've always chosen discomfort, and so you're continuing to choose it. Oh my god, no, it's a Russian doll. So they're just saying that is a different choice. You're now perceiving a different choice. If what you're feeling is always discomfort, then you have the choice to choose comfort. You have to be willing to choose it, and if you're not choosing it, it's because there's a part of you that doesn't desire to. So it all comes back to that. Stacy, I'm so grateful that I feel so connected with nature. It makes me so happy. Thanks, Amanda. Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. Are they saying discipline is comfort? Are you saying discipline is comfort? They're saying it can be if it creates comfort, but understanding the need for discipline will uncover the desire for it. And it's up to you to facilitate the comfort desired. Like, it's not necessarily that discipline creates is comfort. It's saying that you are disciplined in choosing comfort. And so you're continuing to always feel comfort because you're making the choice to. And if you're always feeling discomfort, it's because you disciplined yourself to always feel that way. So you're choosing it over and over and over and over again out of discipline, either because you didn't perceive that there was another choice or because you haven't desired to choose it. So it like the message that they are putting forward today is layered in terms of literally everything. And seeing this message being reflected back to you in every single aspect of life, including as simple as how you feel. Great question. Well, this was another fantastic message. It was so nice to connect with you, Stacy, as always. I'm so grateful for you and your presence here in these lives. And I will see you again next week. Have a great rest of your day, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. And I will see all of you next week for another guided experience on Monday. See you next week. Bye.